There are 8 unwritten rules when it comes to raising chickens, and in today's video I'm going to be going over all 8 of these rules and how they apply to raising your chickens. Let's not waste your time, let's jump straight into this. So rule number 1 is to never raise chickens without some form of background knowledge beforehand. Whether that just be watching a bunch of tutorials or actually understanding the art of raising chickens, you should at least have some kind of knowledge going into raising chickens. Because some people, what they'll do is they'll go into this with absolutely no knowledge and be very surprised when things do not go their way whatsoever. So always jump into this with some kind of knowledge beforehand, because if you don't, then you're going to deeply regret not knowing about chickens beforehand, because they are quite the pain to deal with if you don't know what you're doing here. If you'd like to find out a basic guide to raising chickens, you should check this video right up here at the top right corner of your screen. Rule number 2, chickens' behavior can be very unexpected at times. Take for example, if you're moving a bunch of new chickens into a new flock, you might expect it to be all fun and games and the new chickens will get along pretty well. Well, that's absolutely false, because there's going to be a bunch of fighting if your chickens are like most chickens. Even my flock, which I paint to be one of the most peaceful flocks that I've ever seen, they do have some issues with new chickens coming into that flock. Especially as of recently when we added a couple new chickens to that flock because of their issues in the previous flock. They weren't the nicest to them, let's just say. They were beating them up, but thankfully now things have calmed down. It does take like a week or so, but their behavior is really unexpected, especially if you're just sitting there and you're like, why are my chickens fighting for no reason? There might be because of multiple issues, but it's most commonly pecking order disputes, so it's nothing to really be concerned about. But if you're noticing chickens are like getting their feathers just clean ripped off in there, then you might want to jump in and maybe stop the fights. But for the most part, you don't really need to be doing that. Rule number 3, never name chickens until they're at least 1 week old. And the reason might shock some of you new chicken owners. And this is because some chickens actually end up dying before they're even a week old. And the reason might be really simple, especially if you decided you wanted to order yourself some chickens online. And the reason is because some shipped chickens just simply weren't meant to live. I've had this issue with a bunch of my shipped chickens in the past, and even sometimes just chickens I simply picked up from the local Tractor Supply do have this issue as well. It's just that these chickens simply weren't built to last for that long, and you kind of have to deal with it. Like, there's no solution to this. So that's kind of why you want to wait a week or two before naming chickens. You don't want to name them the day after you get them, because some might die overnight, and most commonly it happens in that first day or two after getting them. So always be wary about that. But after about a week or two, this issue should be solved, as the chickens that were meant to be there are already gone at this point, so you should be good to go to name your chickens after about a week or two. But just wait a week before naming them, because you don't want to name a chicken, get attached to it, and have it drop dead overnight. This is a pretty sad one, but it has to be said. Rule number 4, always respect your chicken's privacy while they're laying an egg. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but there's really a reason why whenever I'm recording a video of my chickens, I tend to stay out of the coop during, like the hours between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And that's because there's likely chickens laying eggs in there. And the chickens, they don't really want you in there. They might seem all friendly and they'll let you pet them, but that's just because they're in a vulnerable situation and they just want you out of there as soon as possible. They want as much privacy as necessary during this, which is why some chickens might get really, really pissy with each other when they're in the box, and that's why you'll hear them puff up and make noises. And some of them might get a little pissy with you as well. They might puff up right at you, even bite you a little bit. And most of the time it's not because they're broody, it's just because they want you out of the coop immediately because they want privacy while they're laying eggs. And a lot of people don't understand this, but it really does have to be said. But if there's a chicken in there, just leave them alone, let them do their business. They'll be out within 30 to 40 minutes, they're just fine, they're just laying an egg, they don't need your help. Rule number 5, an attack of some sort is inevitable at some point in your chicken journey. Now this one might get some of you guys mad because like, oh, I built a perfect chicken yard. There's no way that something can get in there. That's exactly what I thought when I was talking about my chicken yard a couple weeks ago, but guess what happened? I went up to Maine for 2 days, and while we were gone, coyotes went in there and grabbed 7 chickens, and they left essentially without any trace. So this is why you always want to make sure that you're prepared for a situation like this. Because some type of animal is eventually going to find their way into your chicken yard, they're going to find an exploit, and they're going to go in there and they're going to take a lot of chickens. But night attacks, on the other hand, the attacks that happen after 9 p.m., those are 100% preventable. As long as you have a really nice chicken coop that is really hard to break into, then you should be good to go. You could just sit down and park yourself in front of the TV without worrying about your chickens possibly getting attacked and murdered all night long while you're just in the living room and have nothing to do about it. You might want to check this video right up here in the top right corner of the screen, as it tells you exactly how we built our chicken coop and some tips and tricks that you should know when you're building your chicken coop as well. Rule number 6, directly after an attack, you want to figure out what did it and how you should solve it in the future. So essentially, once something attacks your chicken, you should pick up the mess first of all, but as soon as you're done with that, you then want to figure out what could possibly have done this. Now here in this top right corner of the screen, I do have a video linked up here which will teach you what could have possibly gotten your chicken and how you can know that got your chicken. But either way though, once you figured out what got your chicken, next you want to figure out how it got into the yard and how you could possibly solve it in the future. This is pretty self-explanatory, but as soon as an attack is done, some people just go right back inside to watch this and pick up on that episode of the TV show they were watching. But some people out there will actually figure out what got into it and figure out a possible solution, which they can do in the next couple of days. Rule number 7. You should always give your chickens at least 4 square foot of floor space in their chicken coop, always. Now this is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to waste a lot of your time explaining this, but when you're building your chicken coop or looking for a chicken coop, just ensure that it has at least 4 square feet of floor space per chicken, and you should be good to go. This is pretty self-explanatory, as you don't really want your chickens cramped up in that tiny little coop, so give them 4 square foot of floor space, and if it's more, then that's even better. And finally, rule number 8, always treat your chickens with respect. I cannot believe I have to explain this one, but some people just simply don't treat their chickens with respect. Always remember that your chickens are the ones out there laying the eggs, they're waking up early in the morning, and they do not complain once. So always show your chickens just a little bit of respect. It's necessary out there, guys. Either way though, here is some useful chicken advice that you should really check out right here in the center of your screen. I'll see you guys there, have a good one, and see you guys on Monday.